Hello and welcome back to Sandra's Shelf, where I talk all things self-help and lifestyle. So today we have a bit of a crazy video. We have the 50 books that I bought in 2022 in order to help my life, in order to help myself, and to get some guidance. So yes, I do understand, I do acknowledge that self-help has been under fire recently. I understand that a lot of people are like, oh, self-help is just like brainwashing you, it doesn't really work. And I'm on the 50-50 cusp because I do a lot of inner research. I have been in school. For me, I feel like I know what's right and wrong for myself and I know what I'm doing wrong. However, there's that part of my brain that is doing it anyway. So I think that self-help actually reminds me of not like there's a right or wrong way of doing things, but I know when I'm not being in alignment with myself, and I think self-help is the one thing that helps me refresh that alignment, if that makes sense. And sometimes I do discover new things, sometimes I do see things differently that I've ever thought of before. And I think a lot of self-help is based on individuals and people that have tried different things or that have tried the general advices, relating to any type of mental health problems or relationship issue, etc. So having said that, obviously I read these with an open mind. I also read these with a critical eye. I take my background into it, so my background in literature and how to literally analyze text. I would do that for a living for 5 years, for a living as in for what I was doing for 5 years. So I do feel for me that the biggest help is actually reading literature. However, I'm not against self-help in the proper way, nor am I always going to be like, you should read self-help books. I will never push that agenda. You should read them if you think it will help you. You should read them if you just want to change your ideas, change your mind, see what's out there. If not, not. So having said that, last year I had a big crisis in my life. Nothing was working. I was even taking off from YouTube oftentimes, as you guys know. So I wasn't posting weekly as I had promised I would do. I have 2 other accounts, YouTube accounts, and I haven't posted on them weekly either. I was just going through one hurdle after the other. And that's why I was buying all these books. But because I was going through so much hurdles, I didn't read most of them. I actually didn't read any of these books. I have read other self-help books in the last few years. And I'm just gonna go through the 50 self-help books that I just took out of the box that I had bought and just set somewhere in my room. I also have other self-help books that I bought that I'm not including here because they're already somewhere on my shelves. Mainly, I bought all of Gabor Maté's book. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his first name. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, but yes, he's been around a lot lately, so I know he's been in his field for a while. I got the Myth of Normal, I got the one on ADHD, I got the one on addiction and something about the body. So I got all of those ones. I have all the main self-help books. These are the books that have just been released either this last few years or books that I just discovered while I was going through my different crises in life. So without further ado, I'm literally just gonna speed through them and talk about the topic. I don't know anything else about these books, so if you're interested in any, if you deal with any of these struggles, maybe you want to pick these up. That's why I'm sharing them. Besides that, I can't really vouch for these books or their validity. In the future, I will talk more about self-help books and what I have learned, but for now, I'm just going through what I collected and why I collected them. I also want to put a brief note that there are some books that are going to talk about narcissistic abuse. And before doing more research and understanding more of this cluster B disorder, I didn't understand how harmful it is to put narcissist and abuse together, or narcissistic abuse together. Now I know the difference, and so I'm gonna read those books with more of a critical eye, because it's not fair to say anyone with these cluster B disorders like BPD, NPD, ASPD to label them as abusive just because of their disorder. That's not the nature of abuse. The nature of abuse by itself is abuse. So with that in mind, please know I'm not trying to be ignorant, I'm not trying to be harmful. And I hope that you guys can understand that difference too, and I hope that you guys will do the right research as it took me some time. I think I just discovered that 3 months ago. So before that, in the last 2022, I was very avid with like putting these two terms together, but you can be narcissistic, you can have borderline and not be abusive, or you could sometimes be abusive, but that's on a case-to-case basis, and the nature of abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter. It's like stigmatizing a lot of people with cluster B disorders, which is not fair and actually takes away responsibility for cluster B disorders. So I have borderline personality disorders. I've always had it. I'm kind of in remission right now, like as in I'm like not fitting the criterias, which is great, but I do know that I have triggers. I do know that how easy it is for me to fit the criterias again. It's very easy for me to be kind of like overwhelmed by my emotions, and I don't want to excuse any harmful behaviors that I have from my disorder, and vice versa. I don't want to do that to anyone else. So that's long-winded. We'll get into that probably one day. I'm just not ready in this next few years to talk about it. Like, these are still some topics that are very close to me, but one topic I will soon talk about is binge eating disorder, because I almost finished that book and I'm kind of recovering right now. So when I feel ready, I'm going to be talking about that first, and then maybe we'll talk about other topics. And I think like the next few months, I just want to talk about more lighthearted topics, more well-being topics than the hard ones, just because I feel like I'm in a good place right now, and if I'm gonna get in a better place, then I'm gonna feel able to tackle more things. And as I said, although I talk about self-help, although I talk about lifestyle, I am not a professional. I am a regular human being like you that is watching this, or if you're a professional, then I'm not you. I'm just one girl reading a lot, analyzing her life and her experiences, and that's about it. I'm trying to help as much as I can, while giving this disclaimer that I am not a professional. I'm just a girl sharing her experiences, and her experiences through herself. So the things that I read and the things that I research about. Okay, that's done. Let's go quickly through all of these books. First book is Set Boundaries, Find Peace, A Guide to Reclaiming Yourself by Nedra Glover Tawwab. I saw this book a lot on TikTok for a while, and it's just about setting boundaries, which I need to learn because it's horrifying. So let's just get all these narcissist books out of the way, because now I'm kind of feeling guilty that I didn't know what I know now. But there's Healing from Hidden Abuse, A Journey Through the Stages of Recovery from Psychological Abuse. I think this one is going to do a better job because it's just talking about abuse, and it's by Shannon Thomas. And I've actually saw that this one had the best reviews out there. So there's this one. Then we have The Covert Passive Aggressive Narcissist by Debbie Mirza, and it says recognizing the traits and finding healing after hidden emotional and psychological abuse. If it talks more about the hidden emotional and psychological abuse, then sign me up. Then we have You Can Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse by Melanie Tanya Evans, and it says the #1 system for recovering from toxic relationships. This one apparently is also an amazing book. It says Whole Again, Healing Your Heart and Rediscovering Your True Self After Toxic Relationships and Emotional Abuse by Jackson Mackenzie. And actually, this guy is the same guy that wrote Psychopath Free, and I think I have that book. Let's see. Yeah, I was right. So I got the book Psychopath Free, Recovering from Emotionally Abusive Relationship with Narcissists, Sociopaths, and Other Toxic People by Jackson Mackenzie. So I think this one was his first book and this one was his second book. So we'll be reading these as well. Then I have 5 Types of People Who Can Ruin Your Life, Identifying and Dealing with Narcissist, Sociopath, and Other High Conflict Personalities by Bill Eddy. I mean, like, I don't know anymore what to think, because it's like, why are all these professionals or pseudo professionals talking about personality disorders as abusive? Because from what I've gathered, people that quote unquote don't have personality disorders have been more abusive to me than I've ever been abusive. Like, not to be like victim mentality, but it's just really hard to grasp my mind with like, okay, I have issues, I have problems. However, I try not to project my issues and problems, and I see a lot of people that are more like neurotypical, they're not neurodivergent, and they have really like low self-awareness. So like, I'm really confused what to think moving forward. I'm going to be reading a lot of things, even about BPD and narcissism, and We need to find a way to talk about these things without like villainizing people, but it's so hard because our world is so like black and white sometimes that I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Then I got Will I Ever Be Good Enough? Healing the Daughters of Narcissistic Mothers by Carol McBride. Then we got all these books by Shahida Arabi, and again, there's this big one. It says Becoming the Narcissist Nightmare, How to Devalue and Discard the Narcissist While Supplying Yourself. Then we have Power, Surviving and Thriving After Narcissistic Abuse, She Who Destroys the Light, which is a poetry collection. And then The Smart Girl's Guide to Self-Care, A Savvy Guide to Self-Care and Victory. Then we got How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys of Mindful Loving by David Richo. Then we got Making Sense, Conversation on Consciousness, Morality, and the Future of Humanity by Sam Harris. I don't know where I had read about this book or saw this book recommended, but Sam Harris rings such a big bell in my head. I don't know where I got this recommendation from, but it's about modernity and what we think is moral and what are the conversations that we're having currently in life. So if someone has read this, let me know if this is any good. Okay, I heard a lot of great things about these next 2 books on TikTok. We have It Didn't Start With You, How Inherited Family Trauma Shapes Who We Are and How to End the Cycle by Mark Woolen. And then we have What Happened to You, Conversations on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing by Bruce D. Perry and Oprah Winfrey. Then we got The Anatomy of Loneliness, How to Find Your Way Back to Connection by Teal Swan. I heard this is really, really good. Talks about loneliness. Then I got The Psychopath Inside, A Neuroscientist's Personal Journey into the Dark Side of the Brain by James Fallon. From what I understand is that this neuroscientist realized that his brain scan is similar to a psychopath's, and then he goes and explore what it's like, I guess, to be a psychopath. And I don't know, I heard some great and not so great review about this one, but not gonna lie, this sounds like a really compelling read. Another TikTok favorite is The Drama of the Gifted Child, The Search for the True Self by Alice Miller. I think this is like having to do with children that were gifted growing up, and they put like that overvalue of being valued themselves, and so they come from abusive childhood, etc., etc. I can relate. Hopefully this will help, and it's very, very short. It's like about 100 pages. Then we got Freeing Yourself from the Narcissist in Your Life, Linda Martinez Louis, and At Home, at Work, and with Friends. Then we have Why Is It Always About You? The 7 Deadly Sins of Narcissism by Sandy Hotchkiss. This one I heard is really good. It's too good to leave, too bad to stay. Hopefully this attacks a little bit of the psychology behind trauma bonds, but it says here, a step-by-step guide to help you decide whether to stay in or get out of your relationship by Mira Kirschenbaum. But I heard about this one a lot. Then I got The Book You Wish Your Parents Had Read and Your Children Will Be Glad That You Did by Philippa Perry. And then another great classic is Should I Stay or Should I Go? A Guide to Knowing If Your Relationship Can and Should Be Saved by Lundy Bancroft. Then we got Tired as Fuck by Caroline Donner, and it's burnout at the hands of diet, self-help, and hustle culture. So I think this is very timely. Then we got this small little book. It's called The Billionaire and the Monk, and it's an inspirational story about finding extraordinary happiness by Vibhor Kumar Singh. Then we got Love Untamed, Getting Your Relationship Shit Together by Gary John Bishop, and I read his other book, which was Unfuck Yourself, and I really enjoyed it, and I have his 2 other books. Hopefully this one will be good as well. Then I got Company of One. I think we're slowly entering some business books here. It's Why Staying Small is the Next Big Thing for Business by Paul Jarvis. I heard about this book like 3-4 years ago when I was first about to start blogging and researching things, and I think this one is going to be a really good book. I saw that it's been blurred by Cal Newport and Chris Guillebeau, so I think this one is a really good one. I've seen only good reviews of it, so can't wait to read this one, and when I saw a copy online I had to grab it. Then I got Broke Millennial Takes on Investing, A Beginner's Guide to Leveling Up Your Money by Aaron Lowry. I love investing books, so I've been collecting them slowly by slowly, and hopefully this one will be also good. Then I got Badass Habits by Jen Sincero. I got her other books, so I was gonna get this new one that she has. I love the purple. Hopefully it's good. It says here, cultivate the awareness, boundaries, and daily upgrades you need to make them stick. Then I got 2 books from the same author, which is Lindsay C. Gibson. And I have her 3rd book as well, but I already put that on my shelves like I was talking about earlier. So I have Self-Care for Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, and I have Recovering from Emotionally Immature Parents. So I think these go hand in hand, and I heard great things about them. I'm so angry when books do this. Like, why do you have to not match by size? I don't know. Then I got Surrounded by Setbacks by Thomas Erickson. It says turning obstacles into success when everything goes to hell. Then I got The Wisdom of Your Body, Finding Healing, Wholeness, and Connection Through Embodied Living by Hilary L. McBride. I feel like this book was talked about a lot and then no one has been talking about it since, but hopefully it will be a good book to read. Another 2 books by the same author, which is Elaine and Aaron, and it's The Highly Sensitive Person in Love and The Highly Sensitive Person, which is How to Thrive When the World Overwhelms You. And yes, I highly relate. Okay, I'm like hesitant to show this next one, but I think I'm gonna read this book just to see what it's about, because I've read the reviews. I don't agree with half of the things he says, so it's a very like, how do we read this guy? Because on the one hand, he has the education, but on the other hand, his statements are so emotionally driven with no empirical research. So it's Jordan Peterson, and it's 12 Rules for Life, an antidote to chaos. I don't know. I'm going to read it at some point. I think that there are maybe some passages that are really helpful and useful. However, I know, from what I've seen, from what I've gathered, from what I've listened to, how he's spoken, might not all be great. Or maybe it's his other book that might not all be great. So we'll see. And I do remember when I was at UFT, there was a big scandal about him, and that's the same year that he got fired. And then all of a sudden he was like popping up on the scene, and I was like, wow, isn't that the professor that got fired? I'm so confused. And yes, I've been confused since. So I bought it already. I bought it like a long time ago, so I might as well just read it. I'm not gonna promote it if I don't think that it's valuable. It's probably not meant to be promoted anyways. It's doing well by itself, so I'm not getting into these debates right now. It's too much already. Do you see my haul? Do you see how much shit I'm going through? It's too much for me to talk about this white man and his fucking drama, but anyways, let's continue. We have Reviving Ophelia, Saving the Selves of Adolescent Girls, and it's by Mary Pfeiffer. And I think this is like how we see women and how we see little girls and how we develop and crush their self-esteem. And then we also have When Food is Love, Exploring the Relationship Between Eating and Intimacy by Janine Rath. And yes, I think this is having to do with like deconstructing all our feelings about food and how food is harmful and bad and whatever, because you know our society wants women to be always skinny or a certain way. So I got these 2 books. Then I got The Emotionally Absent Mother, How to Recognize and Heal the Invisible Effects of Childhood Emotional Neglect by Jasmine Lee Corey. The last few books are about being neurodivergent, being on the spectrum, and about disability. So let's go through them. We have Divergent Mind by Janera Narenberg, Thriving in a World That Wasn't Designed for You. We have Uniquely Human, A Different Way of Seeing Autism by Barry M. Prisant. Then we have Sincerely Your Autistic Child, What People on the Autism Spectrum Wish Their Parents Knew About Growing Up, Acceptance and Identity by Emily Page Ballou. Then we have Look Me in the Eye, My Life with Asperger's by John Elder Robinson. Then we have On the Spectrum by Danielle Bowman, Autism, Fate, and the Gifts of Neurodiversity. Then we have, I think, a memoir, and it says A Memoir of Autism and Hope, I Have Been Buried Under Years of Dust by Valerie Gilper and Emily Gradden. Then we have Disability, Visibility, 17 Person Stories for Today, by Alice Wong. My bad, I think a novel slipped in here, and it's Miracle Creek by Angie Kim. And this book is about a literary courtroom thriller about an immigrant family and a young single mother accused of killing her autistic son. Miracle Creek is a powerhouse debut about how far we'll go to protect our families and our deepest secrets. So yeah, I guess we got one fiction in here, but you guys know I love fiction and I have an entire channel dedicated to reading fiction books, and you can always go and follow it down below. So yeah, we made it. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. My throat is sore. I'm going to be listing all of these like 50-ish books down below. Make sure to look at the ones that interest you. Make sure to keep a critical eye. Make sure to make research. Make sure to see what other people have to say. Make sure that you're not just consuming, okay? Make sure that you're interacting, understanding, trying, reading, and seeing different perspectives on the same topics, on the same mental health issue. Make sure to go and talk to professionals that you trust. Make sure to talk to people that you trust and that you can confide in. And yes, just treat everyone with kindness, and please, please, please treat yourself with kindness and self-acceptance. Let me know what you want to see next on this channel. Obviously, we have a bunch of topics here. If there's one that really like strikes out to you, let me know. I will try to work on that more in the coming months, coming weeks. If not, everything will be scheduled as normal. I will be coming back every week again to check in, to talk about different things. Yes, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found some book recommendations. I hope you understand that everyone has issues. Everyone is deserving of love and compassion, especially yourself. So for now, I'm gonna go and pick up some of these books, and I'll see you on the next shelf. Goodbye.